Let's talk the AFC playoff picture, and then we'll get to the NFC playoff picture. Teams to clinch the playoff berth thus far, my Baltimore Ravens. Every team is either mine or yours, I guess. And teams to be eliminated. I can't believe the Jets are out.
Draft.
What's that?
We never did our Super Bowl draft. Sad.
We could still do it. It's wide open. I feel like we could do it this week, and it's still fair.
Yeah, we can do it. Teams to be eliminated from the postseason in the AFC, the Jets and the Titans. The Patriots are already out. So let's start here. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see how the this thing sorts itself out. Breach. I'll just read through it quickly for people who are listening. We know that the Ravens are the number 1 seed. They have a 1-game lead over the Dolphins, who has a 1-game lead over Kansas City. And then there's the 8-6 Jaguars, followed by the Browns at 5, and then Cincy and Indy at 6 and 7. Just on the outside looking in at 8 and 6 as well. Houston and Buffalo. Forget the Steelers, the Broncos. I actually feel better about the Raiders at this point. But any swapping you want to do at any point between 1 and I'll say 9.
Okay, here is my biggest problem. We all know that I am the biggest Bengals homer on this podcast. Okay, maybe Brinson is, but it's
all they got to do is win out.
They haven't won a division game this year.
Yeah. They have not won a division game this year.
They're going to win Saturday. Don't worry about that.
Okay, well, that's a problem. That's not the only problem.
Jake Browning don't lose on Saturdays, man.
There's no
the other problem is that they're 3 and 6 in the conference in the AFC, which is also a big time tiebreaker. So they're not going to win that tiebreaker with anyone. And so what they're going to have to do is absolutely win out, because I think if they finish 10 and 7, that they're just not going to win any tiebreakers unless the Texans fizzle out, because that kind of throws the wrench in it. Because if it's them, the Colts and the Bills, you have the head to head.
Hey, Breach, let me ask you a clarifying question real quick. So the Bengals are 3 and 6 in the conference, as you mentioned. Why are they inside the playoff bubble when the team with the same record, the Texans and the Bills, are 5 and 4 and 4 and 5 respectively in the conference?
So I'm glad you asked, because people might be wondering that, and this is because they beat the Colts. So when you have this many teams tied at 8 and 6, so you have 4 teams. When you have 2 divisional teams, you have to eliminate one of those teams first. So the Colts and the Texans are in their own tiebreaker, which the Colts hold, and that eliminates the Texans. So then that leaves the Bengals, Colts, and Bills, and the Bengals beat the Colts and the Bills. And so that's why the Bengals are 6, Colts and so that's good for now.
It all goes head to head before it goes division or conference record, or before it goes conference record. Yeah.
But if the Colts had lost and the Colts were 7 and 7 right now, then the Bengals would be behind the Texans and the Bills, because there'd be a 3-way tie, and the Bengals head to head wouldn't matter because there was no sweep involved because they had lost to the Texans. So the Bengals really need the Colts to stay good or the Browns to lose out. Anyway, to answer your question, do I think any of this changes? Brinson, do you think any of it changes?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo's at 71% to make the playoffs now, according to the upshot. So I'm putting Buffalo in. They've got the Chargers and the Patriots next. Like, if they lose to if they lose to the Chargers and Stick or Bailey Zappi, then they don't. Then all the last 3 weeks have really been a waste of everyone's time. I don't think they will. I think they'll come out firing. I think they are in playoff mode. So, and then I think Miami's going to lose the next 2 weeks. I think the Bills are going to win the division. Miami's going to be a wild card. There's a possibility Miami misses the playoffs, but no, Miami can't miss now that they beat the Jets. Sorry. And then you have Houston and Indy playing each other in Week 18. So you would think only one of those teams gets in, with the Bengals playing. Do they have to play? I think they'll beat the Steelers, lose to the Chiefs, and beat the Browns, who are resting their players. No, the Browns might not be resting their players because they play for the 1 seed. I'll say the Browns, Bengals, and Bills, because I like the alliteration.
I think the Bills make the most sense. I might just throw the Texans in there for fun, but I think Breach's Bengals are in. I want to see Jake Browning, a Jake Browning Spielman revenge game every week from here on out. That'd be fun.
Okay, right. So wait, Brinson, you have Browns, Bengals, and Bills?
Yeah, and worth noting, I had the Texans. Actually, I'll probably go to Bills. I'm going to have the Bills win the division. So my wild card teams will be Miami or Cleveland, Miami, Houston. That's my final answer.
Cleveland, Miami, and
So they
you just
completely changed all three
totally-
answers.
All right, and so I'm glad and so Wilson, you have Browns, Bengals, Bills,
No, Texans.
Browns, Bengals, Texans, or do you don't have
Yeah.
the Bills in?
No, I'm going to give the Texans the edge.
You were stumping for the Bills for the past 2 weeks, and now you're gonna knock them out.
Yeah, I
after
want
they
to do
just
the
beat the
CJ
Chiefs?
Stroud MVP thing. You're right.
Oh my gosh.
The
Okay,
Bills
so
are playing well. I think they're the favorites.
I need to solve so I could play out the rest of the schedule on the old playoff machine so I could figure out who I think is getting in. Brinson, I know that you and I also see eye to eye that the Bills are going to win the AFC East with an 11-6 record. The Dolphins will also finish 11-6, but they obviously are going to lose a tiebreaker because they're going to get swept by the Bills. So I have the Browns as the 5th seed, the Colts as the 6th seed, and the Dolphins as the 7th seed.
Oh, you guys are all in on the Bills, huh?
The Dolphins is the 7 seed.
At 11-6.
Going back to Buffalo after in back-to-back weeks.
Nope. I have the Chiefs as the 2nd seed.
Oh my God. Miami,
So the
can you imagine
Dolphins will
this?
play the
A
Dolphins,
Tyreek Hill,
Chiefs, wild card round.
revenge game. Let's go. God.
Colts,
Put those-
Jacksonville 6-3, and then Browns, Bills at 5-4.
Oh my gosh! All right,
That
well,
is
we'll revisit this next week when everything will change. So look forward to that. All right, let's talk NFC real quick here before we get to the most important matter of the evening, the NFC South. Shout out producer Harry for putting that on there on the back
I
end.
just
Right, where it
loop the
belongs.
NFC South in on the NFC talk.
All right, I'll mention this quickly. Teams to clinch the playoff berth. Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles. Commanders have been eliminated. The Panthers were previously eliminated. The Cardinals are also donezo, as the kids said in 1967. Brenton.
By the way, the Lions might as well have a playoff spot.
Well, it depends on what happens on Monday night. I'll read this out for people who are listening. San Fran's number 1. No surprise there. Their half game up on Philadelphia. He plays on Monday night, followed by Detroit at 10-4. Tampa is the 4th seed. Dallas is the 5th seed at 10-4. Minnesota and LA both at 7-7 round out the playoff bubble. Just on the outside, New Orleans put a whooping on the Giants today. They're 7-7. Seattle plays on Monday night, and I'm not going to mention the other teams. The Falcons don't deserve it. Green Bay's playing terribly, and I'm pretty sure the Giants and Bears are just going through the motions at this point. All right, Brinson, make any mixes and matches that you would like.
Well,
to fix
I mean,
this NFC.
there's only 3 spots left really in the NFC side of things. There's the number 4 seed with the NFC South winner and the 2 wild card teams. You could make the case that the Saints could get in, but look at the schedule. Saints at Rams next week. That is basically a playoff. Like, I mean, that is essentially like a play-in game for the playoffs with this few weeks left. Of course, the Seahawks are getting Philly on Monday night. Jalen Hurts now is like questionable to play. That's a season-altering illness for Jalen Hurts if he can't go and the Seahawks can steal that game. It does feel like Green Bay, even though they're at Carolina, like let it slip away by losing to Tampa Bay. I think the Bucs and Baker Mayfield look like the best team. I think they're the 4 seed. The Rams are going to beat the Saints, and the Vikings are going to lose to the Lions. So the Rams are going to jump up to the 6th seed, which I think they'll end up getting. And then I have a hard time with Minnesota. I don't see Dan Campbell resting a ton of his guys in week 18. I think the Vikings find a way to hold on for dear life to the 7th seed, but more because of who is left, like who is the teams below them struggling to win games.
All right, Breach, what do you got?
So you have who's your wild cards, Merton?
Same as it is right now, but the Rams above the Vikings.
So you have Rams, Vikings, Cowboys.
Cowboys, Rams, Vikings. Yeah.
So you have the Eagles winning the division then?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it comes down if they win on Monday night.
They get the Giants twice.
Right, they have one of the easier schedules.
They can lose the Seahawks and still easily win the division.
Yeah, no, easily. If they win Monday, you feel really comfortable about them winning division. I agree mostly with Prince, and I like the Buccaneers at 4. I think Baker Mayfield, they look the best. The Saints just iffy, and like Brinson said, I don't think they are going to beat the Rams on Thursday night, and I just do not